It was late, and I was with my friends after a night out. We'd had a few drinks and were feeling silly, so we decided to do a late-night Instagram live stream. We joked around, sang songs, and interacted with our followers. It was all fun and games until strange comments started to appear. At first, we didn't think much of it. We thought it was just some troll trying to ruin our fun. But the comments kept coming, and they all suggested the same thing, that someone was in the house with us. I felt a chill run down my spine. I told myself it was just the alcohol making me paranoid, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. I looked around the room, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. But then I saw it. A shadow, moving in the corner of my eye. I turned to look, but there was nothing there. I told myself I was imagining things, but then I heard it. A faint noise like footsteps coming from upstairs. My heart started racing. I tried to stay calm and told myself it was probably just one of our friends playing a prank on us, but the noise continued and it was getting louder. We all fell silent, staring at each other in terror. We didn't know what to do. Should we call the police? Should we try to leave the house? And then the lights went out. We were plunged into darkness and we could hear the sound of footsteps getting closer. We huddled together, too scared to move. The footsteps stopped and we could hear heavy breathing. We couldn't tell where it was coming from. It seemed to be all around us. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, it stopped. The lights came back on and the house was silent. We waited for a few moments, too scared to move. But there was nothing, no sign of anyone else in the house. We cautiously made our way outside, still shaking with fear. We didn't know what had happened. Had we imagined the whole thing, or had someone really been in the house with us? We never found out. We didn't do any more live streams after that night. We were too scared of what might happen, and even now, years later, I still get a chill when I think about that night. I don't know what happened, but I know that something wasn't right, and I can't help but wonder, what if we weren't alone that night? What if someone was watching us, waiting for the right moment to strike? The thought sends shivers down my spine. I don't know what it was, but I know that it wasn't human, and I hope that I never have to face it again. I decided it was time to delete my old Instagram account. It took me years to build, but I hadn't posted anything new in ages, and I went through the process of deactivating it and felt a sense of relief. But the next day, something strange happened. I checked my email and saw a notification from Instagram. My profile was still active and new photos had been added. Photos of me sleeping at different times during the week. I felt a chill run down my spine. I never posted those pictures. I tried to log into my account, but I couldn't. I changed my password and tried again, but it was no use. I was locked out. I searched for a way to contact Instagram and report the issue, but I couldn't find anything. Dear readers, I was getting scared. I didn't know who was taking these pictures of me sleeping. I decided to set up a CCTV camera in my room to try and catch the intruder. The next night I saw something on the camera that made my skin crawl. A masked figure appeared on the screen, sneaking into my room and taking down the camera. I couldn't see their face, but I could tell they were there. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up, watching the camera feed and waiting for the intruder to return. But they didn't. The next day I saw more new pictures on my Instagram account. Photos of me sleeping with the camera lying on the floor. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't go to the police. They would think I was crazy. I couldn't tell my friends. They would think I was exaggerating. I was all alone. Days turned into weeks and the pictures kept coming. I tried everything to stop it. I changed my locks, I installed new cameras, I even moved to a different apartment, but it didn't matter. The masked figure always found me. I don't know who they are or what they want. All I know is that I'm trapped. Trapped in a nightmare that I can't escape. I'm writing this now, hoping that someone will read it and understand, hoping that someone will help me, but I know it's no use. I'm alone and I always will be. The masked figure will never stop and I will never be free. I don't know what will happen next. All I can do is wait and hope that one day it will all be over. But for now, I'm trapped in a nightmare that never ends, a never-ending cycle of fear and uncertainty. And so I wait in the darkness, hoping for a light that never comes. I am Jessica, and I have a problem. I woke up today to find that my follower count had gone down. At first I didn't care, but as I looked closer I saw that it was my friends and family who were unfollowing me. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. I tried to call them to ask why, but they wouldn't pick up. I decided to check my Instagram direct messages, hoping to find some answers. That's when I saw them, disturbing messages sent from my account, but I never sent any of them. I felt a knot in my stomach and my heart started racing. I tried to find the messages on my side, but they weren't there. I texted my friends and family, asking if they had received any strange messages from me. They all replied yes, and they were scared. I was terrified. I didn't know what was happening or how to make it stop. I tried to log out of my account, but I couldn't. I tried to delete the messages, but they were gone as soon as I saw them. I felt like I was being watched, like something was in the room with me. I looked around, but there was nothing there. I couldn't sleep that night. I stayed up, staring at my phone, waiting for the next message to come through, but none did. I told myself I was being silly, that there had to be a logical explanation, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. The next day I woke up to more unfollows. I tried to call my friends and family again, but they were still avoiding me. I felt so alone. I decided to take a break from social media, hoping that it would make the problem go away, but it didn't. The messages kept coming and my follower count kept going down. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was losing my mind. One night I woke up to a strange sound. I looked around, but I couldn't see anything. I got out of bed, my heart pounding in my chest. I walked towards the sound, my hands shaking, and then I saw it, a figure, standing in front of my phone. It was holding it, scrolling through my messages. I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. I just stood there watching in horror. The figure turned around and I saw its face. It was twisted, distorted, like it was in pain. It looked at me and I felt a chill run down my spine. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The figure started typing, sending more messages from my account. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't do anything. I just stood there, watching in terror as it sent message after message, and then, as suddenly as it appeared, the figure vanished. I fell to the floor, my body shaking with fear. I looked at my phone and the messages had stopped, but I knew that it wasn't over. I still don't know what happened that night. I still don't know who or what was sending those messages, but I know that I'll never forget that feeling of terror, that feeling of being watched. I've tried to move on, to put it all behind me, but I can't. I still check my phone, still wait for the next message to come through. I know that it's foolish, that it's probably never going to happen again, but I can't help it. I'm Jessica and I have a problem that I can't explain, a problem that I can't fix, and I don't know if I ever will. I am but a simple man, living a simple life, or so I thought, until the day I stumbled upon something very odd. I was scrolling through Instagram, checking out the latest posts from my friends and family, when I came across an account that made my blood run cold. It was an account dedicated to me, filled with old photos of myself that I'd never seen before, pictures of me as a child, on family vacations, even a photo of my first bike, images that I'd never shared with anyone. I felt a chill run down my spine as I looked at these strange, haunting pictures. I showed the account to my family, but they were just as baffled as I was. They insisted that they had never taken those photos, and yet there they were, posted for all to see. I tried to dismiss it as some kind of weird prank, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over me. And then things took a turn for the worse. The account updated with a new post, a photo of me sleeping in my bed, taken the night before. I felt a wave of panic wash over me as I stared at the photo. How had someone gotten into my house and taken a picture of me while I slept? I tried to tell myself that it was just a cruel joke, but I couldn't ignore the feeling of dread that had taken root in my heart. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that someone was out there stalking me. I tried to go about my daily life, but I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Everywhere I went, I felt like someone was watching me, following me. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think straight. And then, one night I woke up to find someone standing over my bed. I couldn't see their face, but I could feel their gaze on me, cold and unyielding. I tried to scream, but I couldn't make a sound. I tried to move, but I was paralyzed with fear. And then, as suddenly as they had appeared, they were gone. I lay there in the darkness, my heart pounding, my breath coming in short, sharp gasps. I didn't know what had happened, but I knew one thing for sure. I was not alone. I don't know who's doing this to me or why. I don't know if I will ever find out. All I know is that I am not safe, that someone is out there watching me, stalking me, and I don't know what they want or what they will do next. I am living in a state of constant fear, never knowing when the next photo will appear or when the next intruder will strike. I am a prisoner in my own home, trapped by my own terror, And so I wait and I watch and I wonder. I wonder when it will end and how it will end. I wonder if I will ever be free again. But for now, all I can do is wait and wonder and try to stay alive. I was lying in bed, scrolling through Instagram on my phone. The room was dark, save for the blue light emanating from the screen. I was just about to close the app when something strange happened. The front camera turned on for a second, capturing my surprised expression before the app crashed. Thinking nothing of it, I reopened the app, but as soon as it loaded, I saw a new post on my account. It was a picture of me taken at that very moment. I felt a chill run down my spine. How could this be? I quickly scrolled through the rest of my feed, but all of my other posts were still there. This one was different. It was as if it had appeared out of nowhere. I tried to tell myself that it was just a glitch, but something about the picture felt off. The lighting was all wrong, and there was a strange blurriness to the edges. It was as if someone had taken the picture from a distance, using a cheap camera. I stared at the picture for a long time, trying to make sense of it, but the more I looked, the more uneasy I felt. There was something about it that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I decided to try and recreate the picture, to prove to myself that it was just a coincidence. I positioned my phone on my nightstand, just as it had been when the picture was taken. Then I struck the same pose, but when I looked at the new picture, I felt my heart sink. It was almost identical to the first one, right down to the strange blurriness. I knew then that something was very wrong. I tried to tell myself that it was just a prank, that someone was playing a trick on me, but deep down I knew that couldn't be true, that there was something much more sinister at work. I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over me. I tried to go about my normal routine, but everything felt different. The air was thick with foreboding, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. As the days passed, more and more pictures appeared on my account. Each one was taken at a different moment, capturing me in various poses and locations. But no matter where I was or what I was doing, the pictures all had the same strange blurriness to them. I tried to ignore them, to pretend that they didn't exist. But I couldn't. They were a constant reminder that someone was watching me, stalking me. I didn't know what to do. I was scared and alone, with no one to turn to. I felt trapped, helpless. And then one day the pictures stopped. I thought that maybe it was over, that whatever had been stalking me had finally gone away. But I was wrong. The last picture was different from all the others. It was taken in the dark, and it was completely out of focus, but I could make out a figure in the background, standing just beyond the edge of the frame. It was watching me, waiting for me, and I knew that it would never let me go. I sat with my friends, laughing and joking, as I posted an Instagram story. I checked the viewers and saw a name that sent shivers down my spine. Derek, but that was impossible. Derek had been my childhood best friend until he died 3 years ago. At first I thought it was a hacker, but then more stories got viewed and I started receiving DMs from the account. I miss hanging out with you. I felt a cold dread creeping over me. I told myself I was being silly, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was very wrong. I tried to focus on the party, but my mind kept drifting back to those messages. Who was behind them, and how were they doing it? I decided to investigate and went through Derek's old social media profiles. They were all dormant except for one, a gaming account he had created just before he died. I clicked on the account and saw that it had been active recently. My heart raced as I scrolled through the messages. They all had the same chilling tone. I'm back, I've missed you, let's play a game. I felt a chill run down my spine. This couldn't be real. I tried to log out of the account, but I couldn't. It was as if something was stopping me. I felt a presence in the room, watching me, waiting. I looked around, but there was nothing there. The air was thick with an unnameable dread. Suddenly the lights went out. I heard a low, rumbling sound like footsteps. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The sound grew louder, closer. I could feel the floor shaking beneath me. And then I saw it, a faint light in the distance, growing brighter and brighter. I stared in horror as a figure emerged from the light. It was Derek, but not as I remembered him. His eyes were black and empty, his face twisted into a grotesque smile. He was floating above the ground, his arms outstretched towards me. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I was paralyzed with fear. Derek floated closer, his mouth opening wide, emitting a soundless scream. And then he was upon me, his cold fingers wrapping around my throat. I woke up in a cold sweat, my heart racing. It had all been a nightmare. Or had it? I checked my phone and there it was, another DM from Derek's account. "I'll see you soon." I deleted the account and blocked the number, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. I knew that something was still out there, watching me, waiting, and I knew that it wouldn't be long before it came back. I tried to go back to sleep, but I couldn't. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the leaves outside made me jump. I felt like I was being watched, like there was something in the room with me, and then I heard it, a low rumbling sound like footsteps. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The sound grew louder, closer. I could feel the floor shaking beneath me, and then I saw it. A faint light in the distance, growing brighter and brighter. I stared in horror as a figure emerged from the light. It was Derek, but not as I remembered him. His eyes were black and empty, his face twisted into a grotesque smile. He was floating above the ground, his arms outstretched towards me, and then I woke up for real, drenched in sweat, my heart racing. It had all been a dream, or had it? I'll never know for sure. But one thing's for certain, I'll never forget that feeling of unease, that sense that something was watching me, waiting. And I'll always wonder, what if it wasn't just a dream? I woke up to find a friend request from a woman named Samantha. I didn't recognize her, but I accepted it anyway. Over the next few weeks, she liked every single one of my photos and sent me constant messages. I tried to be polite, but I didn't remember her from high school, so I ignored her messages and eventually blocked her. But Samantha didn't give up. She made new accounts and tried to add me again, but I refused. She must have been really determined, because she even remembered some of my posts and used that to track me down. I always posted about my trips to the local cafe, and one day as I was walking there, I saw her. She was standing across the street, watching me. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I told myself I was just being paranoid. I tried to ignore her and went into the cafe, but when I looked out the window, she was still there. I finished my coffee quickly and left, but when I looked behind me, she was following me. I started to walk faster, but she kept getting closer. I could feel her eyes on me, and it was making my skin crawl. I didn't know what to do, so I ducked into an alley and hid. I could hear her footsteps getting closer, and I held my breath, hoping she would just pass by, but she stopped right outside the alley. I could hear her breathing, heavy and ragged. I peeked out and saw her standing there looking right at me. I don't know how she found me or why she was stalking me, but I knew I had to get away. I waited until she turned her head, and then I ran. I ran as fast as I could, but I could hear her behind me, gaining ground. I turned a corner and saw a crowd of people up ahead. I pushed my way through them, hoping they would slow her down. But when I looked back, she was gone. I searched the crowd, but I couldn't find her anywhere. I don't know if she gave up or if she's still out there waiting for me. But I'm not taking any chances. I've changed my routine, and I'm always looking over my shoulder. I don't know what she wants from me, but I'm not going to stick around to find out. I first saw her on the screen, her face bathed in the soft glow of her phone. She was beautiful, with a style all her own. I couldn't look away. I scrolled through her posts, admiring her confident poses and perfect outfits. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized I wanted to be just like her. I tried to copy her style, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't quite pull it off. I became obsessed, poring over every detail of her online presence, trying to find the secret to her success. And that's when I saw it, a post from her home. I knew then that I had to find her, to be near her. I spent hours poring over maps, plotting out the best route to her house. I studied her posts, looking for any clues that might help me find her. And then, one night, I saw it, a post from her bedroom, the window slightly open. I knew then that I had to act. I crept through the darkness, my heart pounding in my chest. I could feel my breath coming in short, sharp gasps as I approached her house. I pressed myself against the wall, listening for any sign of movement, but all was still. I slipped through the window, my heart racing as I looked around her room. And then I saw her, fast asleep in her bed. She was even more beautiful in person, her hair spread out on the pillow like a halo. I approached her slowly, my hands trembling with excitement. I stood there for a moment looking down at her. I knew then what I had to do. I reached out, my fingers brushing against her soft skin, and then I felt it, a surge of energy coursing through my veins. I knew then that I had her, that I had become her. I slipped out of the window, my heart still racing with excitement. I knew that I had done something terrible, something unforgivable, but I couldn't help myself. I had to be her, to have her life. As I walked away from her house, I felt a chill run down my spine. I knew that I would never be able to escape what I had done, that I would always be haunted by my actions, but I couldn't help myself. I had to be her, no matter the cost. The night was still, the only sound the distant hum of cars on the road. I walked faster, my heart still racing in my chest. I knew that I had to get away, to put as much distance between myself and her as possible. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was holding on to something that didn't belong to me. As I walked, I felt a strange sensation, a tingling in my fingers and toes. I looked down, my heart racing as I saw that my hands were changing, becoming more like hers. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I knew then that I was lost, that I would never be able to escape what I had done. I walked for hours, my body changing with every step. By the time the sun began to rise, I was no longer myself. I had become her in every way. I knew then that I had to face what I had done, that I had to live with the consequences of my actions. As I looked out over the city, I felt a chill run down my spine. I knew that I would never be able to escape what I had done, that I would always be haunted by my actions, but I couldn't help myself. I had to be her, no matter the cost. The sun began to rise, casting strange shadows across the city. I stood there watching as the world came to life, and then I felt it, a presence behind me. I turned slowly, my heart racing in my chest, but there was no one there. I knew then that I was not alone, that something had followed me. I could feel its eyes on me, watching me, waiting for me. I knew that I had to face it, to confront what I had done. I turned slowly, my heart racing in my chest, and then I saw it, a figure standing in the shadows. It was her, or at least a version of her. She was twisted, her face a mask of anger and pain. I knew then that I had created a monster, that I had brought something evil into the world. I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move. I was trapped, caught in her gaze. She moved towards me, her eyes burning with rage. I knew then that I was going to die, that I would never escape what I had done. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. She was gone, vanished into thin air. I was left standing there, alone and afraid. I knew then that I would never be able to escape what I had done, that I would always be haunted by my actions. I walked away from the city, my body changed in ways I could never have imagined. I knew that I would never be able to go back, that I would always be a monster. But I couldn't help myself. I had to be her, no matter the cost. As I walked, I felt a chill run down my spine. I knew that I was not alone, that something had followed me. I could feel its eyes on me, watching me, waiting for me. I knew that I had to face it, to confront what I had done. But I couldn't. I was too afraid, too haunted by my actions. I knew that I would never be able to escape what I had done, that I would always be a monster. And so I walked, my heart heavy with guilt and fear, into the unknown. I always thought that my late-night Instagram lives were just a bit of fun, a way to connect with my followers and pass the time on my walk home. But little did I know that something sinister was lurking in the shadows. It was a dark and stormy night, the kind that makes you pull your coat tight and hurry home. I was chatting away to my followers, telling them about my day and answering their questions, when I noticed something odd in the background of the screen. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, but as I watched, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was tall and thin, with long, spindly arms and legs that seemed to go on forever. Its face was hidden in the shadows, but I could see two glowing eyes that seemed to bore into my very soul. I felt a chill run down my spine, but I tried to keep my cool and carry on talking to my followers. As I walked, the figure followed me, always staying just out of sight. I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that was growing inside me. I told myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but deep down, I knew that something was very wrong. The next morning, I woke up to a message from one of my followers. It was a clip from my Instagram live, and as I watched, my blood ran cold. There, in the background, was the figure following me home. It was closer now, and I could see its eyes glowing bright in the darkness. I tried to tell myself that it was just a prank, that someone had edited the video to make it look like there was a monster following me. But I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had settled in my stomach. I couldn't stop thinking about the figure and its glowing eyes. That night I decided to take a different route home, hoping that I could shake the feeling of being followed. But as I walked, I could feel the figure's presence behind me, getting closer and closer. I broke into a run, my heart pounding in my chest, but no matter how fast I went, the figure was always there. I don't know what the figure wants from me or why it's following me. All I know is that I can't shake the feeling of terror that has taken hold of me. Every night I log on to Instagram hoping that this will be the night that the figure finally goes away. But it's always there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for me. And so I continue to live my life in fear, never knowing when the figure will appear again. I try to carry on as normal, but I can't help feeling like something is watching me, waiting for its chance to strike. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I will never forget the figure that followed me home that dark and stormy night. As I sit here, writing these words, I can feel the figure's presence behind me. I try to ignore it, to carry on as normal, but I can't shake the feeling of unease that has taken hold of me. I don't know what will happen next, but I know that I will never forget the terror that has become a part of my life. The figure is still there, in the background, always watching, always waiting. And I know that no matter what I do, I will never be free of its grip.